Craving freedom, Japan's women opt out of marriage. Tokyo, the bride wore a birthday cake of a dress, with a scalloped edge bodice and a large hoop skirt. A veil sprouted. Wow, she thought. I am really doing. This was no conventional wedding to join two people in matrimony. Instead, I wanted to figure out how to live on my own, Ms. Hanaoka told the group, standing alone on a stage as she thanked them for attending her solo wedding. I want to rely on. Not so long ago, Japanese women who remained unmarried after the age of 25 were referred to as Christmas cake, a slur comparing them to old holiday pastries that cannot be sold after December 25. Today, such outright insults have faded as a growing number of Japanese women are postponing or foregoing marriage, rejecting the traditional path that leads to what many now regard as a life of domestic drudgery. The percentage of women who work in Japan is higher than ever, yet cultural norms have not caught up. Japanese wives and mothers are still typically expected to bear the brunt of the housework, child care, and health for their aging relatives, a factor that, fed up with the double standard, Japanese women are increasingly opting out of marriage altogether, focusing on their work and newfound freedoms, but also alarming politicians preoccupied with trying to reverse Japan's declining population. As recently as the mid-1990s, only 1 in 20 women in Japan had never been married by the time they turned 50, according to government census figures. But by 2050, and for women aged 35 to 39, the percentage was even higher. Nearly a quarter had never been married, compared with only about 10% 2 decades earlier. The change is so striking that a growing number of businesses now cater to singles, and to single women in particular. There are single care. I thought, if I get married, I will just have to do more housework, said Kyoko Masuda, 49, a single cartoonist who stopped by to croon in private at a one-kara solo karaoke salon in Tokyo. A separate section, I loved my job, and I wanted to be free to do it, Ms. Masuda said of her unmarried status. Last year, the number of couples getting married hit the lowest level since the end of World War II, according to government estimates. It was the 6th. Not surprisingly, the number of births in Japan, a country where few people have children out of wedlock, is also tumbling. Last year, local governments, eager to encourage marriage and raise fertility, have started campaigns to bring couples together. We are working on, but for more and more Japanese women who have traditionally been circumscribed by their relationships with men, children, and other family members, singlehood represents a form of liberation. When they marry, they have to give up so many things, said Mari Miura, a professor of political science at Sophia University in Tokyo, so many freedoms and so much independence. The shift is tied to the changing Japanese workforce. Close to 70, while some men say they want to pitch in more and the government has urged businesses to reform the crushing work culture, employees are still expected to devote most of their waking hours to the company, making it difficult for many husbands to participate much on the home front. It's so obvious for a lot of women who have jobs that it's very difficult to find a man who is available to be a caretaker in the family, said Kumiko Nemoto, a professor of sociology at Kyoto University of Foreign Studies. Japan's consumption-oriented culture also means that single women with careers and money have a wide range of activities and emotional outlets that their mothers or grandmothers did not, Ms. Nemoto added. And, notably, one reason to get married for a woman is to have a stable financial life, said Miki Matsui, 49, a director at a Tokyo publishing house. I don't have any work. For some single women, their married friends with children serve as cautionary tales. Shijiko Shirota, 48, who works as an administrator at a preschool and lives in a condominium she bought herself, says many of her married friends stay home with their children and get little help from their husbands. It's not fair for women to have to be stuck in their homes as housewives, Ms. Shirota said. They are happy as long. Singlehood has freed Ms. Shirota to travel extensively and pursue her hobbies. She has enrolled in We Don't Have to Rely on Men Anymore, Ms. Shirota said. On a recent evening, she joined 5 other women at an Irish dancing lesson in a studio tucked on an upper floor of a department store in a Tokyo suburb. As the group practiced after class, the women ordered tea and sandwiches at a restaurant a few floors down. Ms. Shirota pulled, some men are reacting to Japan's economic realities by shying away from marriage as well. Ever since Japan, with the social expectation that men should be the primary breadwinners, many men worry they will struggle to support a household financially. Just over a third of nowadays, men's wages are not growing, so they don't make enough to support their own families, said Kazuhisa Arakawa, a senior director at a marketing firm who wrote Super Solo Society and the Rise of the Solo Economy. Mr. Arakawa, who came of age in the late bubble years and is single himself, says that many of his male peers view marriage as an encumbrance. Of course, matters of the heart do not strictly conform to economic conditions. Remaining single, the data suggests very few women look at the lay of the land and say I am not going to marry, said a professor of sociology at the University of Wisconsin-Madison who has written extensively about marriage in Japan. Rather, Kori Shibuya, 42, had a long-term relationship in her 20s that didn't work out, and then met a marriage prospect through a matchmaker in her 30s. But there was no I don't think I have chosen a path, she said. But I have had all the. Ms. Shibuya, who lives with her widowed mother, said some women choose marriage because they feel vulnerable on their own. But she started her, as a child, Ms. Shibuya said, her parents' relationship looked idyllic. But now as an adult, women who are not interested in having children often see little point in marriage. Though single motherhood, it's not too much of an exaggeration to say that people in Japan get married because they want to have kids, said a professor of sociology at Harvard University who focuses on contemporary Japan. If you are not going, being single comes with trade-offs, too. Ms. Hanaoka also recalls that, when she was growing up, her mother often seemed unhappy. Then, if I become a mother, Ms. Hanaoka said, I am afraid that I will be expected to act in the mother role that is demanded by Japanese society, rather than being myself. She has dated on and off, lives frugally and, relishing her freedom, took a trip to Mexico last fall. I would rather do what I want to do right now, she said. Hisako Ueno and Makiko Inu contributed research.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.